What's the price? January 27. What's the price? Well, Jeroen Maas, CCO from Dynamics, all the way from Dallas, from What's the Price Dynamics, also a Dutch company, also a SaaS solution. I said, Jeroen, I will give you plenty of room to introduce yourself later. What's the price? It's about data and collecting data, which you could cost money if you reverse your money piggyback and throw the money out. But in this case, the data would flow into the small money collecting pig. Because we thought about what if you have to collect data and don't see it as cost, but actually see it as added value. We have prepared the presentation in Mentimeter. So as usual, if you would like to join us in this session, and we have some interaction with some of the Q&As, which allows us, for Jeroen and me, to have a better discussion with you guys later. It's anonymous. We don't know who voted for what, but we know how many have voted. And there's like 6 or 7 Mentimeter questions in between the slides. So if you would be so kind to don't look at the phone and see what the weather is like, but use the phone to scan the QR code and join us on this session. That will be great. So, Jeroen, if you look out of the window in Dallas, how cold is it there at this moment?
-8. Temperature is getting better. It was -12 yesterday, but I'm leaving for Chicago tomorrow, and that will be -20
It's the windy
Celsius.
city.
So, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But everything came to a standstill yesterday here in Dallas. It was an official bank holiday on a Monday, due to the fact that all roads are frozen with snow.
Okay, so wish you a good journey for later. Thanks for joining.
No worries, no worries.
In your time, in the middle of the night somewhere. Okay, people have been joining, and you always can join because the Mentimeter code will be there when the questions are there. So why this topic? Many of, not you, of course, because you joined this session, but many of those involved in product compliance, or maybe not involved in product compliance, many involved in retail trade see compliance as cost. It's like words matter, because if you talk about waste instead of recycling, then indeed it becomes cost. We believe different. It's not cost is money, time, friction, waste. We see it as cost of doing business. And in fact, to view it as waste is no longer compatible with reality, because Brussels sees things different. And in order for us to get a feeling with whom we are talking today, what is the maturity of everybody of you regarding data in the organization, could you give us an indication, according to you, who is actually working with product data? Is it one of many? No clear owner. This could be sporadic, spread out. Sometimes procurement is doing it. Good. Okay, so it's quite spread out. As they say, when there's no clear owner, then there's no owner. So later, Jeroen, we can.
It's an interesting mix of things. But
your experience, where should it be?
I would say more at compliance and legal, honestly, in the past, when I was in business 2019 and before. And I understand that it's at product category management. That's interesting.
Okay. Let's look at it later. I can see my typos in the slides, so there's no AI. That's good. So one of the things is where you think it is, and the other is where is it actually enforced? And enforced, with that I mean is if it's a necessity to have it, what happens if it's not there? So one is, okay, this department is responsible for it. That's clear. But what if it's not there? Because, it could have or should have perhaps consequences. Let me close the door here. The every Compliance Tuesday dynamics. So define and enforce are two different things. Oh, gotta love my typos when you work on slides. Good. Enforced. Because it should be enforced. If data is a necessity, not having data should be a showstopper for selling a product. The slides are still there, and the Mentimeters you still can answer. Don't worry about that. You can still look on your telephone and scroll back. Because compliance is not optional. It's a prerequisite to do business. It gives you access to markets. And Brussels, actually, when you read in between the lines, it's all about more transparency, more accountability, more product level data. It's to reach goals, to get us involved as a consumer, not us when we work between 8 and 5 or 7 and 7 or yesterday evening late, or you're in the middle of the night today. But when we are not working as a consumer, we have a right to be well informed and make decisions about what's the energy label saying about this refrigerator, what's the future cost, what's the repairability, because there's a consequence about how a product is defined and what you're willing to pay for it. Yeah. It's not an opinion, it's the agenda. And where it used to be compliance just about safety, it's also about, repairability, recyclability, many other factors. Even if you look at electronics, there are already, like in France, already requirements to indicate how much rare earth is in the product, how much precious metals are in the product, and how much of that is actually coming from recycled sources. One of the reasons you need to understand why Brussels is forcing you to give this information, because it forces you to ask questions. It forces you to put things on the agenda. This is the way, you can say this is the way how a bureaucracy works. It makes forms, and you need to have mandatory fields. And because of that, they force you to get into a rhythm. Yeah? So you need to ask the right questions. And some say, okay, it starts where we looked at the previous slide. IT is responsible for data, but IT, you need a PIM to store it. Sure, you need to have a holder for the data. And like Project P is looking at GS1 about defining fields. If we collectively say weight is called weight and it's measured in grams, then Project P will not choose another wording and another dimension for it. We will not call it mass and do it in kilos. But it's not relevant just to have storage space where you can lock the data if you don't collect the data or you don't have any consequence when it's not there. So I think the real issue is how do I collect it and then how I validate it. And it's very inefficient to collect it via emails and chasing spreadsheets, because that means that the whole supply chain is reactively every time you need to fill in. It doesn't scale. A scale is part of your business, because maybe the problem is you can handle the problem today, but if you look on the future, can you still measure that? So what we want to do, you want structured compliance data, you want ownership, clear ownership. You want a conversion of a supplier input to get usable information, just not some kind of spreadsheet. You want actually to have them proactively be waiting basically for your request and instantly share, because that saves time to market. I can call it very practical. You move from non-formation to information. And that means it's actually enforcement and change management, right? Very simple. Last year, the European Accessibility Act came alive, and it's about, let's say, visual impaired, 15 to 20% of your potential market needs a bigger classes than I have, is visual impaired in a certain way. Colorblind could be a very mild one. Cannot see very clearly at all. those people rely on information on websites in the e-commerce to be actually read out and translated. And yeah, sure, they can have AI on a telephone. But the European Accessibility Act very clearly says how do you need to present information on a website. That doesn't mean images. Images is not information. That's data again. It's a little bit, excuse me for the ironic measurement, but it's when Brussels needs to write market opportunities, I think we're missing out on some of the markets here. So if compliance is not cost per se as waste, but cost of doing business, cost of market access, cost of being allowed to sell, then it becomes the foundation for having data. And then something interesting happens because, and that is the reason why Jeroen and I are here. If you have the data, you better use the data, because you can say we must collect the data, but you can also always phrase, what if we have the data? We can use it to improve cost insights, explain margins, expose anomalies. We come to that later, and flag risk early. So just one step back. If you are collecting data at this moment to measure things in general, what are you measuring? Are you measuring because you want to see cost savings or margin impacts? Are you interested in supply chain continuity, time to market, compliance risks, sustainability, okay, CSR performance, supplier relationship quality? Or are you looking at all this and think, what the hell, Casper, are you asking? Which is fair, Some people say, I look at my bank account at the end of the month, and that's margin impact. True. In certain small organizations, it's true. Yeah. Jeroen, it should be a little bit focused on compliance and risk here because of
No
the.
worries, no worries, no worries. But I'll see the spread out again. I'll see the
Yeah,
spread out again.
yeah.
So um,
It's
various measures, and I can presume there are many than only one single one thing you measure.
yeah,
But I would say when you measure too much, you don't get any results. So get
yeah,
very much focused on what you would like to measure and what you would like to take out of that.
yeah. Good. All right, thanks. Okay, so when you really have the data, something interesting happens. You can different layers in the organization will look at different things. Management will look at bottom line. What's the cost doing? Category management probably will say, all right, so what's my margin doing? And procurement maybe says, okay, it's all interesting, but I have a supplier to manage, which is different entirely. And from that, we need to look at, okay, the last time you asked for supplier data, what triggered it? Was it a customer asking for it? Did you have a case with market surveillance authorities and say, oh my God, we need to have the data? No, it's standard operating procedure. We always ask data. Be careful because we saw before that enforcement was low. So if it's standard operating procedure, then the consequence of not having it should be no access to market. Yeah. I think in Jeroen's world, it should be price negotiation, sourcing decisions,
At least.
at
Yep.
least. Uh, or in general, you and I would say it need to be standard operating procedure per
Yep. Yeah.
se.
But what I'm saying, what I'm seeing is, yeah, um, not a
Not a
big
surprise.
question, not a surprise now.
Yeah. I think Jeroen, because it's the first time you joined the Compliance Tuesday, and we come from different angles, not per se in the experience, because we both walk in the world of non-food consumer goods for a long time. I think for both, when we from Product IP enter, let's say, a table at a potential customer, or you will do it, I think we'll always approximately see the same. It's there's something that triggered it, and they are looking for some basic structure. And um, we don't judge. The companies have grown in a certain way, and we see it at least from productivity point of view, suddenly they reach a point where they say, we need to get more professional than just buy for one and sell for two, which is the fun game. That's what I see from productivity. Is that similar what you see when you come in from Dynamics?
Yeah, I think the logic of having this data ready, and I'm from procurement. I will introduce my later a bit on, but the data is not always there. We need that for procurement focus. But you'll see that it's not a standard operating procedure. I think
Yeah,
that's for sure, and that's actually what's confirming this view as well.
yeah, yeah.
And when I used to be in the business, I would say the internal compliance requirements or customer requests were also the two main ones why we were, I would say, running after data
Okay,
instead of having it as a standard operating procedure.
right. I think if you look at it from a different angle, standard operating procedure is predictable, and all the others, except maybe price negotiation, but the others are incidents. An incident is noise. An incident takes away valid time that you had to do other things. You come in the morning, you had agenda A, you come in, something happened, and the day is gone because it becomes an incident. So um, it has been said before, it's the economy, stupid. It's about money, it's about pricing, access to market. And I think access to market is business and compliance is access to market. I think sits really in between. It's part of connect. There are more dots that connect it because you need to have the right goods at the right time, but I think this data has become very relevant. So, Jeroen, you've been anxiously waiting. Pricing intelligence. What's the price? It's your turn. I put some of your slides in between. I'll
Thanks.
give
Thanks.
again you.
Thanks. As I'm working for a Dutch company, you will see a lot of orange. So happy to be with you, Casper.
Yeah.
My name is Jeroen. I used to work for more than 20 years in procurement. And this slide, I'm accompanied by the two founders of the company, Jan-Paul Plieger and Robert Driessen. And that's actually why I joined the company, because it has a buying spirit.
Hmm.
I started my career at Bastion. I went to Superunie, I went to Sodexo, a French company, and I went to Euromaster Michelin. And when I
Hmm.
was talking on data, it was primarily focused on compliance, quality
Yeah.
reasons. So,
Yeah.
and when we met Casper a year ago, I think the logic and having the data by default I was a bit surprised, honestly, that that data was not there by default. So
Yeah.
and that's actually the common thing we have between us, product IP, Casper, and myself, because when you look at the cost price, you would like
Mhm.
to understand everything which is below surface. So
Mhm.
it's labor, it's energy, but it's primarily raw materials, and those are the most volatile in the cost product.
Yeah. So there's a lot what's below the water on the
Yeah,
on the iceberg. Yeah. Okay.
and just to give you a glance of what companies we work with, and the two founders came also from wholesale and
Mhm.
retail. So that's actually where we come from, and you see some names.
Yeah.
Um, And WTP stands also for what's the price? And that's
Yeah.
actually the question you ask when you are in wholesale and retail to understand the product cost of your buying, because prices go up, prices go down. And from procurement point of view, you have to stabilize and get a fair price from your suppliers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes us bringing together in this
Yeah.
compliance Tuesday.
There's a big overlap of obviously in the world that we both work in. Big overlap of names that we also
Yeah.
know from using productivity. Yeah.
And actually, the data we gather is founded around four pillars.
Hmm.
The first pillar, which makes us unique, is that we have cost data of industries. What we've seen is that every industry has a kind of a similar setup of cost. And we created 266 industry cost structures, and we can define them to a country. So that's the last one, the countries covered, because labor cost, labor productivity, energy costs, they vary from country. The product cost in Mexico are not as the same in Texas due to the fact that those figures differs.
Okay.
And when you create a product, you need to have the bill of material. And that's where the commodity prices come in. So we follow now more than 4,000 commodity prices to actually create a bill of material to understand the cost price of a project. So what we do, actually, we put the bill of material in a kind of company report, a P&L, and that we can transfer into a currency. So when you are looking from a product IP, a compliance perspective to a bill of material, you very much focus on the commodity prices, as we are. And that's actually where a lot of our customers need a bit of support to get that right.
Yeah, bill of material is the common denominator here.
Yes.
You need to have a bill of material, and it's becoming more and more relevant. And it's also what we discussed before, like a single topic. You will have a bill of material for the packaging, maybe for the battery, maybe for the USB cable, maybe for the charger, and for the power bank, which makes it actually better as well, because it will be a more clearer bill of material is the direction from the product compliance for the next 2 or 3 years. So automatically people will have better quality, more accurate, granular around bill of materials in the coming months and years ahead. And that's what you need.
That's what we need. And actually, when you have that bill of material, it's far more easy to understand the cost price, because every product contains a bill of material. Your supplier has it, otherwise he couldn't produce it. I think those wording you've been using yourself, Casper, many times. But please have it also on your side, and have that in your process. So this lead acid battery contains polypropylene, water, lead, sulfuric acid, some ingot, some glass. And once you know what's in it, and once you dedicate it to the right cost structure, you have your cost price. And actually there, it all comes together. It's a bit like the A team.
Yeah. You told me before when we looked at the slides earlier, what you're showing here is it's an extract of what you all can do, because there are different additional layers. We come to that later, because you can add transport, etc. So there's many things you can still add to make the price. But this is quite impressive. So what you're saying to everybody out there, the moment you have granular data which goes to the materials, WTP is looking at the commodity prices of that. They know the kind of industry costs per country for these kind of products, which is like resulting in the labor or the manufacturing cost needed for such products. Then you have like labor, manufacturing overhead, cost of sales, price. Boom. Interesting.
Those are the wordings. Yeah. And that's when we met the other day. That's where we see things come together. I would say from a legal and regularity point of view, but also from a commercial point of view. And that's actually when you collect data, you store data, use data. What I've seen when I was in procurement, the power you have to enforce it is quite strong, because at the end of the day, most of the time, procurement is the owner of the supplier. He has the opportunity to change, so the supplier will collaborate in one or another way. But I hardly did that from negotiation point of view. And when I did it, it was more incident driven, but it was not a default thing.
Right. If you talk with WTP customers, is one of their challenges to actually get the data? Not that it's not there, but just the collecting part. And
Yeah,
because the
it's
moment
it's
they have it, they can use WTP. That's not a problem, right?
yeah, yeah. I would say honestly, I don't see the collaboration yet on a strong level
Hmm.
between the compliance quality teams and the commercial teams.
Right.
We speak primarily with commercial teams, but I never see that it's used in both ways.
Yeah.
So I think this is a huge, huge, huge opportunity to get
Yeah.
that within the mindset because
Agree.
it's the same data.
Agree. This
And
is not 101 is 3. This is 101 is 4 or 5 because you know if the cost price calculation by you is 5 and the product is offered for 3, then something clearly is wrong.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would say
that's
I trust the 5 and I don't trust the 3. So somebody is having a very, very empty stomach somewhere in the supply chain and trying to make some money, which is a fair use. But I would flag it as a risk and say, I need to look if I really get the value for 5 that I ordered. Because it might really be that I get actually the value of 3 that has been offered. And that is discrepancy. That's a flag for me from a compliance point of view, right?
yeah. And I would say when you get a data, there are so many things which become obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, also the quality of the supplier you're working with,
Hmm.
or the
Hmm.
relationship you have with your supplier.
Hmm.
Because when they're open to share, you have a different kind of relationship that they don't want to share.
Yeah.
And then when there are problems to get it into you, you also should have a question mark.
Yeah. Well,
So,
what we also see, Jeroen, is that the principle of stock lots is everywhere. So there are also companies that offering batches of products basically that they have bought from someone
yeah,
without access to the information. And
correct.
then once sold, they try to make it compliant, basically.
Yeah,
But if they try to sell something but lack all the data that was necessary to actually make it, that's a flag as well.
yeah, yeah. I would say the big hurdle is when retailers buy from wholesalers, then then I would say the chain of information is even more difficult,
Yeah.
especially when you speak directly to your supplier. There shouldn't be any trouble to get that data.
Yeah, right. Because this is not a business secret as such, right?
No,
So this is what we wrote down. You need to write down what is the product made of, and at your end, which components drive the cost price. You actually also, I think, from a procurement point of view, you can actually see, okay, there is a discrepancy to what I would like to buy for and what's been offered for. Can we together with the supply chain partners look at the way it's been made? Can we get a lower quality product but is still compliant? Because singing and dancing, there's one factory
uh,
that can make a nice kind of product. It doesn't always need to be AAA, it can be B quality as well,
yeah,
but still can be
or,
compliant.
or the other way around. Maybe
Or the
with
other
a
way
little
around.
more cost, you get a
Yeah,
far more better quality.
yeah,
Um, and you don't even know what the step is to a far more better quality when you look at that cost price. It may
that's
be just that, I would say, tens of euro cents, tens of dollar cents to get a significant increase in your product.
I see.
And when I would say when it's only a 20 cents plus, maybe the value goes like 5 or 6
Hmm.
easily. But you just have to understand why you're speaking about.
Yeah. So which component drives the cost price could also be written as which component price can enhance the quality. So what's the
Yeah,
relationship between, okay, so what's the consequence if we use a better quality of plastic since it's only 2% of the cost of the whole product? If we double that, it becomes 4 cents in the whole price. What will happen? So it gives a complete different discussion if you know what drives the cost, right?
yeah, yeah. Also from sustainability point of view, when you change into a more sustainable um, uh, bill of material,
Yeah,
um, does it really need to be that much more expensive? Sometimes even not. Sometimes it becomes less expensive.
yeah,
Uh, but it's all about having the good discussion. I think the more you know, the better the questions are with your supplier. And I would say it strengthens the relationship by the end. If
Yeah, right.
someone knows more than the other, there's a disbalance.
Yeah. And WTP, once I have a cost price calculation be made, you are following the trend on that price, like ProTP files follow the trend of legislation. It's a dynamic system, right?
Correct. So I would say in the months and years to come, it's good that you know what price is going to be. We don't forecast, don't believe in forecast, but
Hmm.
but when you look backwards, I think it's good that you understand um, what your cost price was in 2019 before COVID started and all kind of things happens in the world. And in
Hmm.
between, there have been so many incidents which could create price bubbles. I would say the energy crisis in 2022, everything what happened in tariffs at the moment here in the US. There are so
Yeah,
many opportunities to get price bubbles, and who gets them out?
yeah,
It's really about having that kind of a reference price in time.
yeah. Understood. Understood. Uh,
Um,
so
yeah, I put up some possible questions, Casper.
yeah,
Um, is it good that I elaborate a bit on that, or
yeah.
let,
Please do, please do. Yeah,
great? It's about um, work, it's about time, it's about money when things are getting difficult. Um, and I would say the first question, is it just extra work on top of compliance? I would say no, because the bill of material, the specifications is the same data as we use from a procurement point of view. So whether you
I agree. I
will
agree.
are using WTP or you are not are using any other kind of insights to negotiate, please get your procurement people informed about your information about bill of material. It really will give them the room to ask different questions, better questions, and get a better relationship at the end with their supplier.
Yeah, I think even Jeroen, I think the data set, maybe not today, but in a year and a half from today, that you need for compliance is even broader than you would need for a cost price.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. We are, I would say, when we go back to the iceberg, we are at top of the iceberg, but
Yeah.
don't let it melt. Yeah, and then time to set it up properly. The question is actually what I'm asking. Is it
Mhm.
asking how to set up WTP? I would
Mhm.
say in normal times, we give our clients 5 days to set it up.
Mhm.
Mostly we don't need it. It's, I would say, between 2 and 4, so call it 3.
Yeah.
Um, but the main thing is, do you have the data? When they have the data, it's a kind of a 3-4 day work because it's a bit more work because we have to get things together.
Yep.
You don't have it, yeah, the work is less. But I would say the work afterwards to get data is becoming a topic.
Yeah. And it's software as a service, right?
Correct, correct. But also software as a smile will help
I
and
like that.
support our customers to
I
get things
like that.
right.
Yeah. Good. So there's no IT investment then. Just to bear with us, there's no API between product IP and WTP at this moment. It's not something that we don't consider. It might be in the future. But what will happen is that at the product compliance side, people will collect data and anyway need to export that data into a PIM because they need it on digital product passport somewhere, or you need it somewhere. So the moment you all very actively start to collect data and it ends up in a Pro2P data point manager, then I think it will become a no-brainer to make an API with WTP. But this moment it will be basically collect it and then just simple manually even copy paste and use it. But that's not a problem because it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and what we always do, we map the commodities at our clients to our
Yeah,
naming.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, so
That's your sources,
that
basically.
Yeah, that's routine. That's easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say third question, sources. Now we use the P&Ls, the yearly P&Ls, to get those industry cost profiles
Hmm.
of every industry, and we have access to more than 200 various sources of commodities. Uh,
Hmm.
some are, I would say, publicly available on the market. Most of them we buy,
Hmm.
and they're all respected. So, and we'll try always to have the data from three zones of the world, so the Americas, Europe, as well as Asia. So you
Yeah.
also see the impact of regional sourcing, um, what the impact is.
So
So
there's already the bridge to a benefit because you are collecting information for many to use in a similar way as Project P is looking at Brussels and see what's happening in Brussels for many to use, and you convert it into actionable information. So that's already, half of your next question. What's the real business benefit? You are doing something that everybody should be doing individually, and you're doing it much better and efficient.
yeah, yeah, I think that's the thing. It's always hard to say what do we bring money wise, but it could easily lead to 1 or 2% net profit impact. So that's the name of the game.
Well,
When you organize yourself, so I would say consider the amount of work you have to do to create 1 to 2% net profit.
mhm.
Um, I would say by standardizing the process of understanding your bill of material, get the spirit around it. Um, those are the benefits which are regularly taken from our customers.
Well,
I would say the bigger they are, the bigger the values are.
can I be so blunt that some of the companies could really use that 1 or 2% net profit to boost their compliance efforts?
Um, um, you
It's
say
my word,
so.
my words.
Yeah.
But it
Um,
is. I think it's an interesting case. I have huge respect for the companies in retail trade that actually started almost like a market seller. Really, really buy, sell. And the world has changed, and they now need to act, and they can, but they need to start act and think as if they are a manufacturer. And that is not an easy effort. And part of that is professionalizing all these kind of process. But if you look at the power, the buying power that they have, and the engine that is running those businesses, I have no doubt that they are capable of doing it once they have clear focus. And then, real business benefit. We see it at product compliance as well. You need to make tough decisions, and you will say bye-bye to a lot of noise as well, because noise is hidden cost. And you need to say, can I still do this as part of my current business model if the world is changing? And I think that's the same with if you look at cost price. Some of the cost price probably is also in quantity shown. If you buy more, you can get a
yeah,
better price.
yeah. That's the impact of fixed and variable cost. Also,
Yeah.
one of the denominators in the tool, I
Uh,
think. And when you're big, by default, you're better than the average price.
Yeah.
So you should even be below the reference price we're giving to you. I
Yeah.
think all those kind of insights, and from a procurement point of view, when you don't believe your own story you're buying, you don't
Mm-hmm.
get it. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you have to believe your own story, otherwise you cannot buy or sell it.
I
So
like that.
that
Believe your own
that
story. This is a good one-liner, Jeroen. Thanks. So, what if supplier data is incomplete or not reliable? I know
yeah,
what I want. I know what I want to say from product compliance point of
yeah.
view.
Please say, because then I get
Walk,
go along on that one. What do you
walk
do?
away. Walk away.
Walk away. Yeah, okay. We don't. We don't. And I think that's the kind of a different angle how we do business. I fully understand from compliance. There is only, it's a zero or it's a one. It's either complete or incomplete. Um, but this is where we start using AI,
Hmm.
because I would say AI is really helping you to get the data from a procurement point of view,
Hmm.
because most products, it's not rocket science what is in it.
Hmm.
Um, um, so we start creating bill of materials for our customers by AI. I would say the tool itself is not AI; it's just data,
Hmm.
respected data. But to get already a cost model given by our own LLM, you are, I would say, between 80 to 90% right, which already gives you a good head start talking business to your supplier.
Yeah.
But and the question always is, do you believe your own story? The better you believe your own story, the better you can use it. So it would rather be coming from your systems than, I would say, from AI. But I would say people tend to trust AI more and more. Maybe a bit too much, but at least it supports you on getting a head start.
Yeah. So you are saying that you use AI basically to guide the supply chain to start to
Correct.
say, this is what we need, this is what you need to fill in. This is what we do by Project, by the way, as well. We're not just asking for references to legislation, we are asking for types of content that we assume should be there in the market that you need to be able to sign off on something, which is framing of the question. We're looking for a test report on electrical safety is better to comprehend than looking for a test report with all kind of references to all kind of standards, which is more complex. So I'm with you. But in the end, if data is not reliable and after teaching and clearance, it still doesn't become reliable, then if you want to continue to do business with this from a compliance point of view, we always say that is marketing and sales cost and not compliance cost because we need to have people at the factory to manage this guy. But if you need the product and able to sell other products, that's fine, but not a compliance decision, but that's a sales decision. So there's lost leaders in suppliers as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe a question more for you,
Mhm.
Caspar. Is this relevant because of the digital procurement passport? I would say it helps when you've got your data all clear and set.
Yeah,
Um,
I think um, it's a Jein, as they say in Germany. Yes, it's a necessity in the future for digital product passport, but I looked at the European Accessibility Act. I think there's many reasons why you need to have proper data from a compliance point of view. And the digital product passport is an accumulation. It's like a focus point where it all comes together. But look at things on energy label. Look at food contact material, where you actually need to know which at the plastics are, which plastics are used and which colorants are used and which dopes are used to make the plastic soft, etc. Because they all are on a positive list. You have to choose materials on this list. So the data needs to be there anyway. So is it only relevant because of? I wouldn't say so. It's one of the factors. What does help is that because of digital product passport, compliance and related topics become more common language. And that is what we see in the market as well. The whole discussion about PFAS in news and in newspapers, it makes it more common language. And that means more, oh yeah, I understand. I read about it. I think we are opening opening some minds in the market as that. Um, Next question is for you because I'm not in the supplier negotiation part.
no, I would say it's definitely not for internal reporting the data we consider. But
Hmm.
I would say when we speak to, I would say what I start doing is also elaborating on that data. The bill of material could be used in both ways, also from
Yeah,
quality perspective. Of
yeah.
course, from a procurement perspective, this data really helps supply negotiations because
Hmm.
when you speak about, I would say, the real bill of material, yeah, it becomes more obvious what the price evolution is. So the famous price increase letter, which always starts to be effective by the 1st of January, is it true or wrong? And how could you judge?
Yeah.
Um, so that's the baseline of why the company has been starting 11 years ago, and we are now where we are. And then always people ask me with a smile, "What's the price?" It's always a nice question, and it's a fair question. I think we have three price packages, where it's a similar approach as you has at Product IP. We've got those SMEs, the MKB, as we say in the Netherlands. We've got the
Yeah.
mid-markets, and we've got enterprise. And we've
Yeah.
got within that, we've got 3 packages just alongside the service and support you would like to get on.
Okay, good. Just recall when
Yeah.
supplier negotiations, Jeroen, when I was working at manufacturing sites in Asia, we always did OEM, so we always produced for the brands. We produced for Walmart, for
Yep.
Sears, Kmart. Some of them are gone. We produced for
Yep.
IKEA, and these
Yep.
were open cost calculations
Yep.
where we actually looked together at the bill of material and the cost, and where this actually even our margins were there. And together we discussed about quality, what would lead to a certain price. And companies like an IKEA actually rated designs, say, okay, this design we give an 8, and they know exactly the traffic in the stores. And they say, if a product is an 8 and we put it in the stores on these open boxes somewhere where you walk the store, if the price is X, the impulse buy rate will be Y. So we need Z quantity to produce. So they actually know these models. And this helps tremendous in the supply negotiations because it's also a matter of what can you make, what can you produce, what quality do you want to have. Sometimes it's over quality. They also said we could rate it a 7, but a 7 against this price would actually result in more volume than an 8 at that price, which makes sense.
Yep.
Look at how you and I behave in a shop. It's impulse buy in many cases. You want to solve a problem, you look at a price and a proposition in design, you think, oh, that's cool. And you make a decision to buy things, right? And
Yep.
so it
That's,
not only helps you in supply negotiation, it probably helps you in sales negotiation the other way around as well.
yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
it's a story you believe in. Um, what happens if we don't connect compliance data to cost control? I think you miss opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And that's actually the talk of today. Um,
Yeah.
um, I would like to stress again that this is really a chance. So everyone who's in it, spread the
Yeah.
word, take action.
Yeah.
Look how you can do that.
Okay, cool. So after hearing us, if the right data arrives at the right time, would this create measurable operational value? Would you strongly disagree or strongly agree? Well, Jeroen, they got the message.
Good. Great. Happy to hear. Happy to hear. Happy to hear.
Yeah.
Great. Thumbs up.
Yeah. It was the same the first time we met. I know these cost models from a factory. I didn't know that they were scalable, available as you offer them,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you are big like IKEA or Walmart, and I would say one of us our clients, the other one we spoke to, and especially when you speak about IKEA, they really own their own supply chain because everything they do is IKEA.
Yeah.
So I would say, but also when you're in retail and wholesale, part of the assortment is yours. It's private label. You
Yeah.
have the right to ask anything about it. It's your
Yeah.
brand,
Yeah.
um, and use that in all ways for sustainability, for compliance, for product cost. Own
Right.
it. And most of the time, private label products are quite similar to other products. So I would say, without asking from a commercial perspective, all those ingredients, you fairly know them.
Hmm. Yeah, fair point. It's one of the things that when I talk with my peers like Kevin Roetler or Andre Gierke and do risk assessment trainings, we also always say you're talking with a factory that makes apparel. They can make apparel for Primark, they can make apparel for Hugo Boss. They can make apparel. It's up to you what kind of quality you want. They can make any quality you want. It's a matter of processing. It's an industry.
Yeah,
And if you want to have B quality components in electronics, you get a B quality product for a B quality price. And if that's your business model, then it's all singing and dancing. But if you want to have triple A quality, you go for military grade parts and et cetera, et cetera. This is a different product, different spec, different price. And the factory can make both. it's not their decision in Ultimo. It's a brand decision.
No,
Great outcome. 9 out of 10. Wow. Um, so you said about cost, and we previously looked at what triggered the data request, and we looked at it. Many of those are incidents, and we call it noise. And if you remove noise, you free up space. We also look at quality compliance teams that are doing a lot of work that we actually already do. It's often about being able to free up time and free up thinking capacity of teams that are there so that they actually can manage business risk and business opportunities. So here, I try to make a slider. What kind of operational capacity could this free up in your organization if implemented product properly? So you have 0 to 5 is 5 plus, 6 is 5 plus FTE, and 1 would be 1 FTE. And an FTE, if you want to talk in terms of cost, this is 75K to 100,000 euro a year. And don't look at your salary. It's your salary plus your desk, plus the energy, plus the parking lot, plus. So um, I think to have it implemented properly, this should at least free up 1 FTE at a mid-sized organization because it reduces the noise. And this is not about people losing their job. It's actually about being able to use your intelligence and your knowledge for better purpose than just to chase information that Dynamics and or Prototype already collecting for everybody. So it's not only SaaS, it's also what they say in
people will get
Holland.
a people will get a better job,
As we
more
say in
meaningful.
Holland. Kaas. Knowledge as a service. Cheers. Kaas. Knowledge, it's shared information, and you benefit from what the processes are the same in all these organizations. So you benefit from what is necessity on reporting skill or tools or usability. Yeah. Thanks.
This is impressive, Casper. I was saying, let's call it 4 people. It's
I
impressive.
even say 2 FTE freeing up is already massive. Yeah. Can you imagine if your current team has 2 people extra with a complete empty agenda with the same mind skill that you have today? Wow.
Yeah, I agree. When we have 2 dedicated people working with what's the price, it can change the world.
Wow. Good.
I would say generally you don't need more than 5 to get this really running like hell, because
No,
the
I,
rest will
I agree.
follow.
If you have 2, and look what it frees up. Amazing. Good. Honest reply. Um, so we've seen that that's actually full circle. Compliance data, cost inside, negotiation power, margin control, risk visibility. It's a circle. It starts everywhere and it goes on and on. Because from a compliance point of view, what we discussed about suppliers not being able to deliver information, I would flag them, but there could be good reasons to still do business with them. Because it's in the end, it's a business decision which has different kind of risk. Even pricing could be a risk. We get a price for the product. We don't like the price, but we need the product. So we don't make margin, but we accept it because without this product, we cannot sell other products. Okay. This is the way business works.
The lost
And
leaders.
uh, there's many aspects that is not even mentioned. And people, you really should start to follow Jeroen and WTP Dynamics on LinkedIn and subscribe to newsletter. We will send you all the details because there's so much more in certain markets than just the cost price, because there's other parameters that says fair trade or other price, CSR prices. There's so many risks that you can flag from a compliance point of view on product or even on supplier, where you say, all right, we need to pay more attention to this supplier than to others, rather than to spread out the budget and time that are available from compliance and give them everybody a little bit of attention. Don't give everybody a little bit of attention. Some don't deserve any attention anymore. Some need attention because the business needs them to be part of the business, and some have earned the right not to get any attention because they demonstrated that they are reliable.
Yep. That's it. And the question is, who do you choose to do what?
Yeah, it's often that the data that comes from the market is not the same as your gut feeling. Uh, and one of the things is if you don't have data, you start to, I would say, give everybody a little bit of attention. That doesn't work. So coming to that, did we manage to change your mindset in just about 1 hour? Good timing, Jeroen.
We did well.
Was this connection between product compliance data and commercial value surprising to you? Which serves the purpose of Compliance Tuesdays.
Good feedback, but still a bit of work to do, Casper.
Well, more impact than expected is good. I wouldn't have expect people to say completely change my perspective. That would be too naive. Not at all. I'm surprised I would have said one or two said not at all because I know one or two of them, but I'm happy with the sweet spot, Jeroen. Yes, work to be done, of course. That's our job, and
Yeah.
we'll continue to
And
do that.
especially the somewhat clearer now. I'm happy to hear what that brings.
Yeah,
And once people do have their data ready and would like to have a cost model from us, I would say I spoke with Casper, ready to give you 5 cost models. So the first 5 to set up something to us where we can make a cost model. We'll get that with you early next week. So if you're interested, just let me know.
yeah, you're just to Zoom with me. One more thing slide.
Okay.
You can explain that a little bit later. So, open cloud, always ask at the end, is there any practical step that your organization should take next? What, for your opinion, not you and me, Jeroen, but the audience. I would say normally set a date in the calendar and invite some people to a brainstorm and say the topic is, what if we would do this with our data? That's a constructive one. Set a date for a brainstorm. It's always the most difficult question to transfer things into future actions, but it's not too difficult if you think in general terms. If your current process is not doing what it should do, you should start with a meeting to challenge your current process and set the date in your calendar. This is the David Allen getting things done method. Set a date. Good. Jeroen will share the slides and the results, obviously, with the
Great.
audience, and we'll also share with that some information on how they can, stay in the loop of what Dynamics is doing, how to sign up for a news mail, etc.
Happy to do so.
And there will be questions coming, and that was the one more thing. The one more thing is that just what you said. Can you repeat it? So you are willing to give away something?
Yeah, I think it would be nice that if people are interested, how does it work?
Yeah.
How could I get those data out of my current bill of materials,
Yeah.
my current compliance data? Just send us your setup, and we'll get you a cost model that are limited. So I'll say the first 5 who address up, and please inform Casper, and he will get the things at mine. Please send it. yeah, as we say in Dutch, twee vliegen in één klap. So two
Yeah, like
flies.
two birds, one stone. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, in English it's two birds, one stone. That's how I look at it.
yeah.
So let's see how it works. Whoever is interested, yeah,
Right.
I'm willing
So
to show off.
I think the
So
first
that's
five you should send it to you.
okay. Happy. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm
And
here.
then your inbox is the proof in the pudding who will be the first ones. And
Yep.
if the file is large, not normally it should not be a problem. Otherwise, they can use like WeTransfer or something like that. But everybody in the meeting, I'll share the slide deck within, let's say, a few hours after it's generated as a PDF to all of you. So then you have this information as well. For now, Jeroen, get some sleep.
No, I'm fully fresh. Now I go on. I'll take a long day.
Thank you very, very much to participate in this compliance talk. We already discussed before, we guess that there will be a follow-up. And because the topic is not gone, maybe we will do a deep dive in some of the developments, maybe there's a reason from a cost price, like from a market cost price, that things are radically changing in the market, but we can set another compliance talk later this year, put it on the agenda and see what will happen. FAQs, people that have still questions after this meeting, reach out directly to me or Jeroen or both. We will collect them and share with everybody what is the outcome. For now, I would say thank you very much for being here. Enjoy this Compliance Tuesday. Jeroen, safe trip and talk to you when you're
Thank you
back
so
in
much.
the Netherlands. Thank you very much
Okay.
all. Bye bye.
Thanks for all joining. Bye bye.